Once a giant, always a giant. For me, it's only a giant.
YouTube Diggy546. I know we got stomped. I know we lost bad, big time. I mean, the worst that we've lost in franchise history, the best win for the Cowboys in franchise history. And to make it worse, the last time we lost this bad, or anywhere close to this bad, as far as a lot of points to zero, was 35-0 in 1995 by the Dallas Cowboys. So, bad loss. But there were some positives to take away. I thought our rookie corners looked good, and I wanted to highlight these two. But first, I wanted to just highlight the biggest play that our secondary gave up. And this doesn't really involve the rookie corners as much, but the secondary works together. And I just thought I would shed light on what happened on this deep route, on this not deep route but big play from CeeDee Lamb early on in the game. So let's highlight, you got Jason Pinnock on the tight end. He's manned up with him. Deontay Banks is manned up here. I think that, can't tell who that is from this angle. And then you got Adoree Jackson on CeeDee Lamb. So Tre Hawkins is your man over here. So nothing too much from Tre Hawkins is going on this snap. So let's not pay any attention to him. So what you probably want, because what's going to happen is he's on a drag. He's on kind of a slant, but similar route to here. And then CeeDee Lamb is running a wheel route around both of these guys. Now, my issue with this is the alignment to start things off. So you're giving CeeDee Lamb outside. You're giving him inside leverage, which means you're protecting the outside. That's what Adoree's doing. My thing is, you kind of have a bunch here. Now, yeah, they're kind of all lined up at the same level, but they're bunched up pretty close together. You got three defensive backs bunched up pretty close together. I want them all at different depths. And this is probably because Jason Pinnock isn't a boundary on the line corner on a regular basis at this point of his career. So there's no communication here. He's going to pick. He's going to just kind of run a drag. Excuse my art here. But they're going to pick Adoree Jackson. And what should happen is Jason Pinnock should be picking up CeeDee Lamb on this wheel route. But there's a lack of communication. And that's pretty much what allows this play to happen. So let's take a look. The tight end is going to pick Adoree Jackson. He has to already avoid Brandon Cooks there. Decent press off the line. What doesn't really get hands on him. But CeeDee Lamb is already on the ground. So you didn't get hands on him, but technically you won the press because you got the wide receiver stumbling. So he's able to work long enough to where Adoree Jackson has to go through two Cowboys players to get to the outside. And what needs to happen is Adoree should be able to pick up this tight end going across the field. They should be able to pass him off. And look what happens. Jason Pinnock doesn't pick up CeeDee Lamb going this direction. He's not paying attention to CeeDee Lamb. I don't even think he noticed him. And that's what gets him open. Jason Pinnock pretty much tackles Adoree Jackson. And because of the lack of communication, you got a guy wide open. And this is pretty much your big play in the secondary. Other than that, I thought they looked good. And then McKinney judges this poorly, takes a bad angle, which this was probably his worst play of the game. Other than that, I thought McKinney looked really good. And I might need to do a whole separate video on McKinney because I thought he really showed up this past game. But just took a really bad angle and just gave up the biggest play of the game to the Cowboys as far as offense. All right, so they played a lot of man-to-man, and like I said, for the most part, they stuck to guys. So you got Michael Gallup on Deontay Banks. First off, Deontay Banks was physical all day long. Physical player all day long. Michael Gallup got frustrated. But one thing that Deontay Banks still needs to improve on is his work at the line of scrimmage. So let's take a look at this. He loses this press. He's playing inside technique, playing inside shade. So he's giving him that outside. But he still feels the need to take that inside step. My friend, you're already playing inside. You see his foot is pretty much lined up. He's playing half. He's playing the inside half of Michael Gallup. So Deontay Banks is athletic enough to where he can give up an inside step and be able to catch up and swat that ball away. So he shouldn't feel the need to take this huge committing step to the inside. And that's how he loses this press. So Gallup initially has him beat, but within a step or two, as we've seen with this athleticism, he's already back in the frame. So this is good coverage. But what happens is Michael Gallup literally, I don't know if you all can see Michael Gallup's hand, but he literally smacks him in the back of the helmet. Smacks the guy in the back of the helmet. And that creates a little separation, but for the most part, he's in good coverage. And this is kind of what happened all day is you got Deontay Banks in good coverage, but he loses at the line of scrimmage for some reason. But he recovers every time. So I want to give a shout out to a sponsor on the channel, Underdog Fantasy, and it's kept me really invested in Week 1's games this year. And I've been having a lot of fun, to be honest with you all. You scroll through it. I've been using Pick'em. You scroll through it, you find out, is this player going to be higher or lower than this amount of passing yards or this amount of rushing yards? And you can bundle these players up all the way up to 5 different players. And the more players you put in, the more you can possibly win. You can also use insurance there that's going to make sure that if you get 4 out of that 5, you still get paid. So whether you put in 5, whether you put in 10, whether you put in 20, all the way up to 100, they will match that 100% all the way up to $100 if you use code DIGGY. You will not regret it. I've been having a lot of fun. Do it today. All right, guys, so take a look at Deontay Banks at the bottom of your screen. He's lined up across from Brandon Cooks. He's in man coverage. And Brandon Cooks is just basically running to the sticks as quick as he can. He's getting upfield and he's getting outside to get to the pylon as quick as he can because that's an effective route in the red zone. Deontay Banks knows it. Look at him. He's playing off. He's playing outside. He understands that. That part is shut down. And he also has eyes on the quarterback. So it's almost like he's playing a cover 2 flat because he never really took his eye off of Dak. So he got his eyes on the quarterback. And then he's able to come off of this route and get back here and challenge this ball to Jake Ferguson. And does a good job because Ferguson might be able to make a tough one-handed catch. But because Deontay Banks broke off of that route, there's 0 chance he's making that. So I'll play it real quick for you all, just so you all can see this in real time. Boom, breaking that down. Now, if there was anything that I took away from this game with Deontay Banks is that he has no issues with Michael Gallup at all. So I don't know if it's because Michael Gallup is coming off of an injury, but he just was not able to get much of anything going. So again, this time, Deontay Banks, as you can see, does a really good job at the bottom of your screen at the line of scrimmage. This time, he actually does a good job. It's just head up with him. Hits him with that 2 punch that I talked about, I think a couple of weeks ago. Boom, boom. Not at the same time. Left hand first. Right hand there. Throws him off his route. And then just watch. He's just right in his hip right there. Right in his hip. And it's like he's just running the route for him. Nice press, right on his hip. Nice little jersey grab where the ref can't see it. Ref can't see that. The ref can't see it. So the key to being a dominant cornerback in the league is committing pass interference that referees can't see. And notice how he's wearing the white gloves. He's wearing the white gloves and you don't know where his hand is right here. You don't know if it's the towel. You don't know if it's Brandon Cooks' jersey. But he's got a little grab of that jersey, and he's just staying across the field, and he's not so far behind Brandon Cooks that you can see a jersey being pulled. So really good coverage. And if Dak throws this, it's getting swatted away. The ball's getting popped in the air, and it could be an interception. So let's look at Tre on the other side. He's up against Brandon Cooks. He's got outside leverage too, and it's just a lot for him to make up. Waits way too long, in my opinion, to get hands on Brandon Cooks. And then he just allows Brandon Cooks to get in his chest and just basically dominate the route. So Brandon Cooks blocks him pretty much to the back of the end zone. And you can kind of say that this is offensive pass interference, but it is what it is here. Basically blocked him to the back of the end zone. And right there, Brandon Cooks is open for a touchdown. And if this ball doesn't get swatted, if you don't have Xavier McKinney being Superman and swatting Dak's arm, this is an easy touchdown because you got nothing but space and opportunity in front of Brandon Cooks. But again, arguably pass interference, and he's just got to do a better job at the line of scrimmage. If you're going to be off, but to press this far down the field, and then the guys, you're standing still, Brandon Cooks already has a head of steam, this is how you lost that route. Now, this next play, real quick, is just nothing too much to diagnose. Nothing really spectacular that was done, but this is just the kind of thing that gets me excited about these two rookie corners, and I'm going to play the Tre Hawkins play next after this. But Deontay Banks is at the top of your screen, and it just shows that these guys are going to set the tone. They're going to be physical against everybody they play against, and it's not going to be we don't have two finesse corners. We have two press man physical corners that are going to get in people's grill, that are going to hit people all day long. So let's take a look at Deontay Banks at the top of your screen. He's just going to get back into kind of a little kind of back step, not really a back pedal, just a little shuffle technique, and is a little bit off of Brandon Cooks. And these guys don't mind giving up 3 yards on an out route. They don't mind it because they can come up and hit people. And this is exactly what he's gearing up to do. And Brandon Cooks, the ball is a little bit too high for him, and he has to pay for it. He's got to pay for it. So let's just show this in real time, just so you all can just see the impact. He got to pay for that. So this next play, same thing, exact same type of energy, except I just kind of really wanted to see Tre Hawkins not celebrate like he did, because we gave up a first down on 4th down while they're driving. You know, they're inside their own 40-yard line. They could kick a field goal, but they decided to go for it on 4th down, which I think are the most crucial 4th downs that you just really don't want to give up. And they give up this first down to Dallas on this drive. But you see immediately, as soon as this ball is completed, you got Tre Hawkins decking Brandon Cooks. You just got him just decking Brandon Cooks. And Adoree Jackson is just going to get beat here. But Tre Hawkins, let me line this thing up for you. Let me line this up for you. So Tre Hawkins is right here in your innermost slot. Adoree Jackson is right here. Adoree Jackson's on Brandon Cooks. And Brandon Cooks is just going to kind of run an inside route here. So let's take a look. Just beats Adoree. And again, you should not be pressing a guy going backwards. You shouldn't be pressing a guy going backwards. Shouldn't be deciding to put hands on him when you're going backwards. And he's gotten 3-4 yards before he's even contacted you. So you got to either just cover him, just shadow him right here, or you got to get up on him and press him. But anyway, he's backpedaling, he's pressing, he misses the press, he's still kind of shading off of him. It looks like they're not playing man, they're playing cover 2. Either way, Brandon Cooks is wide open. It looks like Tre Hawkins may be responsible for this, but also Tre Hawkins does a good job on CeeDee Lamb, because you can't leave CeeDee Lamb here open either way. So he does the next best thing that you can do is pay attention to the quarterback, come off of your route, and just lay out this receiver. Put him in the dirt. And we love that. We love that. That's what we want to see. That's what we want to see, especially from a corner. Tre Hawkins tackles and hits like a safety. But this is the part I don't like. He's celebrating. You know, you got Isaiah celebrating with him. And it's just like y'all made a big play, and you made a big hit, but you gave up a first down. So I'm not sure if they thought like he was short, but I just don't want to see celebration right here. You got Isaiah Simmons and Tre Hawkins celebrating like they just did something great, but at the end of the day, the drive kept moving. But I do like the physicality. All right, so this next play, you got Deontay Banks lined up at the top of your screen again. He's lined up on Michael Gallup again on a go route. And this is one of the few times where getting beat at the line of scrimmage really, it hurt him on this route. But luckily, the ball is enough outside, and he does a decent job of kind of forcing him to that sideline that the ball ends up not counting. And he also does a good job of pushing him out. So let's take a look at this in real time. Gallup beats him off the press, but he does a great job of just following that, following where the ball is, following Michael Gallup's hands, and kind of pushing him out of bounds. So let's see what went wrong right here on the line of scrimmage. Again, he's playing that inside technique, and he's trying to shadow again. He's trying to shadow again, and again, you don't even need to worry about it. You don't need to worry about it. You do not need to worry about taking that inside step if you're already lined up that far inside, because guess what? If you're already lined up inside of Michael Gallup and you're taking an inside step with him, that means that he's already got the beat to get outside because he was already lined up outside of you. So just kind of just stay calm. If you got to take a step back, sure. Take a step back, but don't take a step sideways. I would much rather him take that step back because he can close on the ball going downhill. But take that step back instead of sideways. So that's where he loses there. And then he tries to jam with two hands all at the same time. So that's going to lock your hips right there. And look, notice how he can't turn his hips. He's still facing forward. Michael Gallup is running past him. So let's look at this again. Takes that inside step, tries to jam with two hands, hits him on the shoulder, and kind of misses the press. Locks his hips by jamming with two hands at the same time. And then you got the guy just running by you. So now he has to flip his hips after that kind of awkward movement of you trying to push forward with two hands at the exact same time. Now he's got to play catch up and he's stumbling. But again, beautiful job on the recovery to get into your stride, to get into your sprint, and watch where Michael Gallup's hands are. Watch the hands, follow the hands with their hand, and kind of just get into that chest pocket, and then just ride him out of bounds. Just make sure he lands out of bounds. So again, beat at the line of scrimmage, but good job recovering and good job making sure he lands out of bounds. So this play is more about Tre Hawkins because he's the one that gives up this pass interference on this play. But take a look first at Deontay Banks at the top of the screen, and take a look at how this time he doesn't take that inside step because he's kind of out of position and he's not able to get into that stance. But he's inside, and the first step he takes is outside. So take a look at the top of your screen. You got Deontay Banks. He's going to step outside, and he's just able to run with him. You look. Check this out. He's able to kind of extend his arms, but he's able to make contact this time. And he can just stay in the hip pocket right there. And he's just going to run down the field with a beautiful coverage. Look at it. Beautiful coverage. He's able to look for the ball and everything. So great right there from Deontay Banks. But this play, we're focusing on Tre Hawkins, who I think had a decent rep. Didn't get hands on him, but he wasn't trying to. But take a look at Brandon Cooks at the bottom of your screen. Tre Hawkins is lined up kind of off, kind of pressed, but mostly off coverage. And he gives up that inside, which I have no problem with because he's got help inside here who kind of bails on him. But he's one-on-one with Brandon Cooks. He's not getting dusted. At the bottom of your screen again. And the ball is in the air. And while it's in the air, Tre Hawkins has got to look, turn, find that football. Instead of going over his back, just locate the ball, wait for it to get there, and try to grab his arms or something. But you going over the guy and him flopping like that, they're going to throw that flag 1,000 times because your hands and your arms are over top of his shoulders. All right, so this next play, you got Tre Hawkins at the bottom of your screen again. And I just love this about Tre Hawkins, and I've already talked about it, just the physicality, the athleticism, the ability to break on the football. This is just beautiful poetry in motion. Take a look at the bottom of your screen. I'm just going to let this play. I'm just going to let it play. It's self-explanatory. Look how quickly he puts his feet in the ground and is able to come up and make this hit. Like, this is a real asset that you have in your secondary, is that they're not going to be able to get to the edges of these defense the way that they did in years past and get to throwing these short passes without guys coming up and hitting them. Just check out how quickly he gets upfield. All right, so this is a play of Tre Hawkins over top of CeeDee Lamb. They're at the bottom of your screen. They're battling it out. And first off, this is just a really good route from CeeDee Lamb. And it just happens. It is what it is. But I'll talk a little bit about what I think Tre Hawkins may have been able to do to be a little bit better here. So first, let's look at it at the bottom of your screen. So he's just going to turn him around. And again, it's just a really good route here, I'll definitely say. So something I can say about Tre Hawkins is he's extremely athletic, and that if he does get beat inside, he's not going to give up much yak, and he's also probably going to be able to contest a lot of these passes that are inside if he gets beat inside because he can close so quickly. So if I'm Tre Hawkins, I'm just staying in the shuffle technique. Because as soon as you get out of that shuffle technique and start running with them inside is when he turns you around. So if he continues to keep this outside leverage here, which I think he can continue to shuffle and stay pace with CeeDee Lamb. And I just probably got to draw this out right here. If he continues this shuffle and just keeps this wall here, when CeeDee Lamb makes this break inside and out, which, let me cross this out. When CeeDee Lamb makes that inside and out route, instead of Tre Hawkins having to go from breaking upfield to taking a loop to get back over here, he can just simply open his hips. And he can break on that ball going outside. So that's the only thing I would say that he could have done better on this play. But other than that, just a really good route from CD. He just got to keep that outside leverage and just trust that you got a freak, Xavier McKinney, that's going to be able to come down, make a hit, make a play on the ball, and trust your own athleticism that you can close out and make that play on the ball. So you got help. Use it. So this final play is going to be from Deontay Banks, and this was an illegal contact, and a lot of people were like, this is a crucial one, because I'm pretty sure this was on third down. And, you never want an illegal contact penalty. So let's take a look at the top of your screen where you got Deontay Banks lined up. I think right here he's on Brandon Cooks. So he's on Brandon Cooks. Does a better job of just mirroring the wide receiver, not giving up that inside leverage so quickly, not stepping that step inside so quickly. So does a good job here. Gets his hands on him, which, again, I just hate it. I really don't like when corners are shooting with both hands while they're turning, because that inhibits your ability to turn with the wide receiver. You can't be pushing forward with both hands and turning. So I want to see a one-handed jab right here with that left arm, because then you can turn. You can keep that left hand kind of in that receiver's chest pocket, I'll call it. You can keep that left hand kind of right over that 3 on Brandon Cook's chest, and you can turn and run with him. But he stays in this locked position, and he just kind of is pushing him, which is fine. And it's a good press because you're within that 5-yard mark. But once you get outside the 5 yards, you got to let go, young man. You got to let go. And he doesn't let go. So you're going to have that illegal contact flag every time. So to wrap this up, like I said, I really believe that these two young corners are going to be good. To me, they look like 2 first-round corners in their first games. And I would say Deontay Banks looks really comfortable out there, which is funny because people were thinking, how is Tre Hawkins outplaying Deontay Banks? I would say Deontay Banks clearly looks like the best corner out there. And that includes Adoree Jackson for yesterday. But Adoree was also following around CeeDee Lamb, and he was playing it out of the slot. So that's difficult in its own right. But Deontay Banks looked real comfortable. I would say that I think he's going to be a really good player for us. I think we might have actually got one of those guys, and I wasn't sure about it. But looking at this tape, I think Deontay Banks is going to be a guy for us. I think Tre Hawkins is going to be a guy for us. And I think these are our cornerbacks for the next 4 or 5 years. I really do. at least, until you got to pay him. And who knows what happens with that. But they're both developing really well. They're both smart players. They're not giving up things over the top. They both can probably be able to play the ball a little bit better in the air. And Deontay Banks has got to help. He's got to be able to help himself with some of his moves at the line of scrimmage. He's got to be able to use the right hand usage, the right hand placement. He's got to help with that press at the line of scrimmage. If he can get that down, I mean, he's going to be really scary. Tre Hawkins doesn't really get into the press a bunch. He's kind of playing off a little. But his athleticism is just so good that he can stay with anybody. He's just got to get much better at the point of the catch. Going back to what I just said, he's got to get much better at the point of the catch. And if he can do that, again, this is going to be a scary, scary tandem. So you guys let me know what you're thinking of the Giants secondary and of these two young cornerbacks in their first game, albeit in a blowout and a horrible game. But I think the competition they went against at wide receiver, I thought they really showed out. So you guys let me know what you think. If you made it this deep into the video, come on, just hit the subscribe button. I make Giants content primarily, draft content secondarily, and during the season, I'm going to be doing a lot of reacting to pretty much most of the NFL games and everything NFL. So if you made it this deep, go ahead and join the D6 squad.